They told me family means respect. My stepfather defined it with his fists. The day he swung at me in full uniform, he didn't see the convoy turning onto our street. 6 military vehicles, cameras rolling, body mics recording every word. My unit watched him grab my arm, heard him snarl, "Stop acting tough," like I was still that scared teenager in his house. 20 witnesses, 3 cameras, 1 perfectly timed visit from the 143rd Supply Unit. He thought the uniform was just another costume I'd take off when he commanded it. He was wrong. My name is Riley Hart, and I learned early that family first meant putting up with anything they threw at you literally, in my stepfather's case. I was packing my ruck for flood relief operations when the text came through. Dale Whitaker, the man who'd raised his hand to me more times than he'd ever raised me up, wanted $2,500 for Kyle's graduation party. Not asking, demanding. The message came with his usual passive-aggressive signature. "Family supports family. Don't embarrass your mother." I sat there in my barracks room at the 143rd Supply Unit, just outside Asheville, staring at my phone. 3 hours earlier, I'd posted photos from my niece Emma's birthday party, the one where I'd sat alone at Chuck E. Cheese with a wilted balloon and a cake for one because my family had something come up at the last minute. Again. My mother Paula had texted her apologies 2 hours after the party started. Dale had a work emergency. You understand, sweetie. I understood perfectly. I understood that Dale's emergencies always happened when the spotlight might shine on someone other than him or his biological son Kyle. I understood that my mother would always choose his approval over my presence. I understood that 30 years old, wearing specialist rank on my ACUs, managing logistics for disaster relief, none of it would ever be enough to earn basic respect in the Whitaker household. The banking app opened with my thumbprint. $23,000 in savings, scraped together over deployments and training rotations, living on base chow and foregoing the nights out my battle buddies enjoyed, money for the house I'd bought last year, my name only on the deed, my sanctuary that Dale didn't have keys to. Yet here he was, reaching across the miles from Hickory Falls, still trying to control the wallet of the girl who used to count pennies for gas money because he'd teach her the value of hard work by confiscating her Taco Bell paychecks. I remembered being 17, standing in our kitchen at 2 in the morning, reorganizing the pantry for the 3rd time because Dale found 1 can out of place, and that meant no discipline, no character. He'd stood there in his bathrobe, watching me alphabetize soup cans while telling me I'd never amount to anything because I couldn't follow simple rules. "Real families share everything," he'd said then, pocketing my car keys for the weekend. "You want independence, join the circus." I joined the army instead. My fingers moved across the phone screen. The payment app chirped happily as I set up the transfer. Kyle Whitaker, $1. Note field, "Best wishes on your graduation." The second it sent, something shifted in my chest. Not guilt, I was done with that. Not anger that had burned itself out somewhere between basic training and my 3rd year of Dale calling me G.I. Jane at every family dinner. It was lighter than that. Cleaner. Freedom. My phone exploded within minutes. Dale first. Naturally. Then Paula. Then Kyle. Then aunts and unsins I hadn't heard from since Christmas 2019. The family group chat, the one where I usually stayed silent, lit up like a combat zone. I screen-capped every message. Dale's, "This is unacceptable and you know it." Paula's, "Please don't do this to us." Kyle's entitled rage about how I was ruining his moment. Each one went into a folder on my phone labeled evidence, right next to 3 years' worth of similar greatest hits. The next text from Dale was different, calculated. "You're coming home this weekend. We're discussing this face to face. Your mother is ill from your selfishness." I looked at my reflection in the black phone screen. ACU patrol cap slightly crooked. Eye pro hanging from my collar. Tomorrow at 0600, I'd be leading a convoy to deliver emergency supplies to flood victims in the western counties. Real emergencies. Real families who'd lost everything. "Can't make it," I typed back. "Mission essential duties. I'm sure you understand the importance of obligation." I set the phone to silent and went back to checking my packing list. Sleeping bag, MREs, water purification tablets, first aid supplies. Everything needed to help people who actually deserved it. For the first time in my life, I wasn't asking permission to skip Dale Whitaker's command performance. I wasn't making excuses or apologizing or sending money to keep the peace. The girl who used to fold fitted sheets at 3 a.m. to avoid his disapproval was gone. Specialist Riley Hart didn't play those games anymore. Growing up in Hickory Falls, I learned that Dale Whitaker's version of parenting came with locks and ledgers, not the metaphorical kind, actual padlocks on the refrigerator after 8 p.m., actual expense reports for every mile driven in the car my mother bought me. I was 14 when he married my mother, 15 when he installed the lock. Structure builds character, he'd said, pocketing the only key. Snacking after dinner is weakness. My little brother Tommy Paula's late-in-life surprise, born when I was 16, would cry from hunger at 9:30 at night. I'd feed him crackers I'd hidden in my closet, praying Dale wouldn't hear the wrapper crinkle. When he caught me once, he confiscated my phone for a month and made me write a 3-page essay on respect for household rules. The financial control started subtle. Gas money had to be requested in writing, with destination and mileage estimates. My part-time job at Walmart required direct deposit into an account Dale supervised because I wasn't ready for that responsibility. Every purchase needed approval. Tampons were luxury items that came out of my allowance. I wore the same 3 pairs of jeans through junior and senior year, washing them in the sink when Dale decided I hadn't earned laundry privileges. My classmates thought I was trying to be minimalist. I let them think that. The first time I came home in uniform, fresh out of AIT, proud as hell, Dale took one look at my pressed ACUs and laughed. Actually laughed. "Look at you," he'd said, circling me like I was livestock at auction. "Playing soldier. How long before you wash out and come crawling back?" My mother stood behind him, silent as always, twisting her wedding ring. "It's not playing," I'd said quietly. "I'm serving my country." "You're serving coffee at the base Starbucks. More likely." He'd reached out and flicked my name tape. "Hart, still using your daddy's name. The man who couldn't even stick around to see you born." That visit, I'd lasted exactly one night before driving back to base at 3 a.m. After Dale spent dinner explaining to extended family how the military was desperate enough to take anyone these days, even girls who couldn't handle community college. I'd tried therapy through Military OneSource 2 years ago. The counselor, a soft-spoken woman named Captain Torres, had listened to my stories with increasingly concerned expression. "What you're describing is abuse," she'd said simply. "Financial abuse. Emotional abuse, coercive control." "He never hit me," I'd protested. "He didn't have to. He broke you down in other ways." She'd pulled out a notepad. "I want you to start documenting everything. Every text, every incident, every threat, no matter how veiled. Why? Because someday you're going to be ready to fight back, and when that day comes, you'll need ammunition." I'd thought she was being dramatic, but I started keeping records anyway. Screenshots, voice recordings when legal, a timeline in a password-protected document that grew longer every month. Dale's greatest hits included canceling my credit card the day before I was supposed to fly home for Christmas, claiming identity theft concerns, making me stand in the garage for 2 hours in January while he taught me a lesson about leaving a coffee mug in the sink, telling my date for Tommy's baptism that I had mental health issues and he should be careful. The uniform became my armor, but Dale knew exactly how to pierce it. Government welfare, he'd call my service. Hiding behind tactical gear because you can't handle the real world. Last Thanksgiving, when I'd mentioned deploying to Poland for 6 months, he'd turned to the whole table, running away again. Some people face their problems, others join the army. Kyle had snickered. Paula had studied her green beans. Tommy, now 13, had tried to defend me, and Dale sent him to his room without dessert. That was the night I'd called Sergeant First Class Mendez, crying in my rental car outside a Waffle House at 1 a.m. "Mom. Hart, "Listen to me," she'd said. "That man is poison. You have options. The unit has resources. We protect our own." "It's just words," I'd said. "Words are weapons, too. And from what you're telling me, he's been firing them at you for 16 years. She was right. Every constructive criticism was a bullet. Every family meeting about my attitude was an ambush. Every demand for money was another attempt to keep me small, dependent, controllable. But I wasn't 14 anymore. I wasn't that girl hiding crackers for her baby brother or washing jeans in bathroom sinks. I was Specialist Riley Hart, and I was done being target practice for Dale Whitaker's inadequacy. The locksmith arrived at 7:45 on a Saturday morning, 2 days after I'd sent Dale that $1 transfer. I'd hired the most expensive company in Asheville, bonded, licensed, and thorough. They changed everything: front door, back door, garage, even the rarely used storm cellar. $600 for peace of mind seemed like a bargain. "You want the old locks?" the technician asked, holding up Dale's emergency copy set that I'd found hidden in the garden shed during my security sweep. "Toss them," I said, signing the invoice. "Actually, wait." I took them, heavy in my palm. Evidence. Everything was evidence now. My house, purchased with my VA loan. My name alone on every document had been contaminated by Dale's assumptions of access. He'd made copies during his helpful visit 6 months ago when I'd been at annual training. Paula had mentioned it casually, like it was normal. "Dale wants to make sure someone can get in if something happens to you." Something was happening all right. I was taking my life back, one deadbolt at a time. The next step was paperwork. I'd learned from Captain Torres that documentation was ammunition, and I was building an arsenal. Every text message from the past 3 years, screenshotted and backed up to 3 different cloud services. The recording app on my phone that activated whenever Dale's number called. The folder of receipts showing money I'd lent the family that never came back, nearly $12,000 over 5 years. At the JAG office on base, Specialist Rodriguez helped me notarize copies of my deed and mortgage papers, proving sole ownership. "Keeping these in your unit's safe file?" he asked. "That's the plan. Can't be too careful." He nodded knowingly. Every soldier had their own version of crazy family. The emergency contact update felt like cutting an anchor chain. For 6 years, Paula and Dale had been listed as my notification contacts, the people who'd be told if something happened to me downrange. I sat in the S1 office, pen hovering over the form. "You okay, Hart?" Specialist Washington asked from behind the desk. "Yeah, just..." Changing my emergency contact to Sergeant First Class Mendez. That allowed, "As long as she agrees to it, family giving you problems." I almost laughed. Something like that. Mendez not only agreed, but pulled me into her office for what she called contingency planning. She was 41, divorced, had survived her own version of Dale in her 20s. She got it. "First rule of extraction," she said, using military terms for a civilian situation. "Always have multiple egress routes. You've got the house secured. Good. Bank accounts. Separate since I enlisted. Dale doesn't even know which bank. Phone plan. My own since basic. Medical records." I paused. Shit. Paula's still listed as "Fix it. Today." And Hart. She leaned forward. "I'm adding you to our unit's family readiness group chat. The real one, not the official bullshit one. 23 soldiers who've all dealt with some version of this. You need backup at 3 a.m. You text that group." The seal on my mailbox was next a lockbox that only I had the key to. The postal worker barely blinked. "Stalker," she asked sympathetically. "Controlling family?" "Say no more. You want to file a forward hold. Keep your mail here for pickup." I hadn't thought of that. "Can I? Honey, you'd be surprised what we can do. Fill this out." Every form I completed felt like armor plating. Every changed lock was a boundary fortified. I wasn't preparing for war. Dale had been waging that for 16 years. I was finally building defenses. That night, I sat in my secured house, new keys gleaming on the counter, and typed out a message to Dale and Paula. Effective immediately, I'm establishing boundaries for my well-being. Do not come to my house without invitation. Do not contact my command. Do not list me as an emergency contact for any purpose. I am not available for financial requests. These boundaries are non-negotiable. I hesitated before hitting send. The 14-year-old girl who'd hidden crackers for Tommy whimpered that this would make things worse. The 17-year-old who'd alphabetized soup cans at 2 a.m. begged to just keep the peace. But Specialist Hart, who'd convoy-driven through hostile territory and managed supply lines for disaster relief, hit send without flinching. The explosion was immediate. 43 text messages in the first hour, 12 missed calls, 3 voicemails I deleted without listening. Kyle somehow got my number and sent a novel-length rant about destroying the family. I documented every single one, then blocked them all except Paula. Her. I left on mute. If there was a genuine emergency with Tommy, I needed to know. But everything else could wait for my lawyers. Yes, lawyers. Plural. One for the restraining order I was considering, one for protecting my assets. The house felt different that night. Quieter, but not lonely. Secure. Mine. I fell asleep for the first time in years without checking that the doors were locked against people trying to get out. But against those trying to get in, the difference mattered. Sunday noon. The doorbell rang. Then pounding. Then Dale's voice. Riley, open this door right now. I'd been cleaning my service weapon, a methodical Saturday routine that kept my hands busy and mind clear. Through the peephole, I could see the whole production Dale in his church clothes, Paula wringing her hands, Kyle looking sullen, and Tommy hanging back by their Suburban, shoulders hunched. My phone was already recording as I attached the chain lock and opened the door exactly 4 inches. This is private property. You need to leave. Dale's face went purple. Don't you dare speak to me like that. Your mother is heartbroken. You're destroying this family over money. I said leave. This is your only warning. Warning. He laughed, ugly and sharp. You think that uniform makes you tough? You're playing dress-up, little girl. Now open this door before you what? I kept my voice steady, professional. Every word was being recorded. Break down my door trespass on my property. Assault a service member. Paula pushed forward. Sweetie, please. We just want to talk. Dale's trying to help Kyle get started in life. Family helps family. Like family helped me when I was eating crackers for dinner at 16, when I was washing clothes in the sink, when Dale confiscated my paychecks. That's not your twisting things. Dale slammed his palm against the doorframe. You owe us respect. I owe you nothing. I pulled out my phone, making sure they could see it recording. This interaction is being documented. You are trespassing. Leave now or I call the police. You'd call the cops on your own family. Kyle finally spoke up. All 22 years of entitled rage. Over $2,500. I'd call the cops on anyone who refuses to leave my property after being told to. Dale grabbed the door, trying to force it wider. The chain held. You think you're protected. You think those sergeant friends of yours scare me. I know where you work. I know your commanding officer's name. One phone call about your mental instability. Specialist Hart. Everything okay? The voice came from behind them. Sergeant First Class Mendez stood at the end of my driveway in civilian clothes, but her bearing was unmistakably military. Behind her, Staff Sergeant Williams and Specialist Rodriguez from JAG were getting out of Williams' truck. Just happened to be in the neighborhood, Mendez said pleasantly, but her eyes were locked on Dale. Thought we'd check on our flood relief preparations. This your family, Hart? Dale spun around. This is a private conversation. On Specialist Hart's private property, Rodriguez said, not quite casually. Which, from what I can hear, she's asked you to vacate. I stepped out onto the porch, keeping the door locked behind me. Full uniform, I'd put it on as soon as I'd seen Dale's Suburban turn onto my street. Every ribbon, every qualification badge, every piece of brass perfectly positioned. Mr. Whitaker was just leaving, I said. That's when Dale made his critical mistake. He whirled back to me, grabbed my upper arm hard enough to bruise, and shook me. Stop acting tough, you pathetic. The rest of his sentence disappeared under the sudden chaos. 3 phones came out recording. Williams stepped forward. Mendez was already calling dispatch. Rodriguez was rattling off statute numbers about assault on military personnel. But the best part, the absolute best part, was the sound of diesel engines turning onto my quiet cul-de-sac. 3 vehicles from the 143rd Supply Unit, right on schedule for the emergency flood relief inventory check Mendez had arranged yesterday when I'd finally told her everything. 8 more soldiers climbed out, including our unit's photographer, Sergeant Kim, whose camera was already up and shooting. The body cam on Lieutenant Morrison's vest was blinking red. Dale released my arm like it burned him, but it was too late. Everything was captured. My arm showed clear finger marks against the ACU fabric. Did he just, Private Chen started, assault a service member in uniform? Morrison finished, yes, Private. He did, in front of 12 witnesses. He pulled out his phone. Dispatch, this is Lieutenant Morrison, 143rd Supply Unit. We need police at... He rattled off my address. Paula started crying. Kyle was backing toward their vehicle. Tommy looked like he wanted to disappear into the pavement. Dale tried to salvage it. She's lying. She's been unstable since... Sir, Williams interrupted. I'd advise you to stop talking. Everything you say is being recorded by multiple parties. The police arrived in 6 minutes. By then, our unit medic, Specialist Brooks, was photographing my arm under Morrison's supervision. Rodriguez was taking witness statements. Mendez had pulled Paula aside and was quietly explaining the severity of what Dale had just done. The officer who took Dale's statement looked increasingly skeptical as Dale ranted about family discipline and respecting your elders and how I'd stolen money by not funding Kyle's graduation party. Sir, did you grab her arm? The officer finally asked. I was trying to talk sense into, it's a yes or no question. Did you make physical contact? Dale looked around at the cameras, the witnesses, the soldiers standing in a loose formation around my house. She provoked? Yes or no? Yes. But... The officer looked at me. Do you want to press charges? I looked at Dale, then at Paula, then at Tommy trying not to cry by their car. Yes, and I'll be filing for a restraining order first thing Monday morning. Lieutenant Morrison didn't waste time. While the police took statements, he was already on the phone with our battalion's legal office. We have a situation involving assault on one of our specialists. Yes, in uniform. 12 witnesses. Multiple recordings. He paused, listening. Understood. We'll compile everything. The police didn't arrest Dale that day. Simple assault was a misdemeanor unless prosecutors decided to enhance it. But they issued him a citation and made it clear that violating any forthcoming protective orders would mean immediate jail time. After Dale's Suburban finally pulled away, my living room became an impromptu command center. Mendez took charge like this was a military operation, which, in a way, it was. Brooks, complete medical documentation. Every bruise, every mark. Rodriguez, I need copies of all witness statements. Kim, get those photos uploaded to Secure Drive. She turned to me. Hart, we're filing reports through military channels too. This isn't just civilian assault, it's assault on a uniformed service member. Is that really necessary? I asked, suddenly feeling overwhelmed. Morrison answered. Hart, that man just attacked you in front of your unit. We take care of our own. Besides, his expression darkened. He threatened to call our command with false allegations. That's a threat to the entire unit. By 4 p.m., we had a comprehensive package, 15 witness statements, 43 photographs from multiple angles, 6 video recordings, and a medical report documenting contusions consistent with grabbing. Brooks had even used UV photography to capture subcutaneous bruising that wouldn't fully surface for days. Rodriguez walked me through the restraining order paperwork. Emergency protective order, first we can file for that today through the magistrate. Then a preliminary protective order at the hearing, probably within 72 hours. Finally, a permanent protective order at the full hearing, usually within 2 weeks. Seems like a lot of steps. Each one builds on the last, like establishing a defensive position. He pulled up another form. We're also filing with the Military Protective Order System. That goes into federal databases, follows him everywhere, not just county level. The Family Advocacy Program officer arrived at 6 p.m. Major Carson was a no-nonsense woman who'd seen it all. She reviewed everything, then sat me down privately. "This isn't your fault," she said firmly. "I need you to hear that. Nothing you did or didn't do justifies physical assault. He's going to say I provoked him, that I destroyed the family by not giving Kyle money. Hart, if every soldier who didn't fund their step-sibling's party got assaulted, we'd have no army left." She pulled out more paperwork. "I'm classifying this as family violence. That opens up additional resources counseling, legal assistance, even emergency relocation funds if needed. I don't need. Resources aren't weakness. Specialist. They're supply lines. You wouldn't go into combat without ammunition, would you?" That night, Mendez insisted on staying over. "Just tonight," she said, settling onto my couch with her service weapon locked in my safe, "until we know how he's going to react." The reaction came at 11:17 p.m. Not from Dale directly, he'd been advised against contact, but from Paula. 32 missed calls, 18 voicemails. The last one I actually listened to. "Riley, you've destroyed everything. Dale's talking to lawyers. Kyle's graduation is ruined. Tommy won't stop crying. You need to fix this. Drop the charges. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. This is your last chance to make things right." I played it for Mendez. She shook her head. "Classic enabler. Save that recording too." Monday morning came with swift efficiency. Rodriguez accompanied me to the courthouse at 0700 before PT. The emergency protective order was granted immediately based on the evidence package. Dale would be served within 24 hours. No contact, no third-party contact. Stay 500 feet away from my person, home, and workplace. Workplace includes all of Fort Liberty, Rodriguez clarified. He shows up at any gate. MPs get involved. Back at the unit, word had spread. Not gossip protective intelligence. Every soldier in the 143rd knew Dale Whitaker's face, his vehicle, his description. If he came near the unit area, someone would intervene. Master Sergeant Thompson pulled me aside after morning formation. "Hart, I've been where you are. Different details. Same story. You need anything shift changes. Temporary duty elsewhere. Whatever you say the word." The preliminary hearing was set for Thursday. 3 days to prepare. Carson assigned me a victim advocate, Sergeant First Class Rivera, who'd walked dozens of soldiers through similar proceedings. "They'll try to make this about family dysfunction," Rivera warned. "Stay focused on facts. He grabbed you. You have evidence. Everything else is noise." Wednesday night. Kyle texted from a number I hadn't blocked yet. "Dad's lost his job over this. Hope you're happy." I screenshot it and forwarded to my lawyer. Yes. I had one now. Retained through military legal assistance. Dale's job at a defense contractor required security clearance. Domestic violence charges were automatic review triggers. "Consequences," Mendez said when I showed her. "He's learning what those feel like." But the real intelligence came from Tommy. He'd created a new Instagram account just to message me. "Dad's planning something for the community event next week. Heard him on the phone. Please be careful. My little brother." Still trying to protect me, even from the middle of Dale's storm. I messaged back, "Stay safe, stay quiet. This will be over soon. I love you." Then I screenshot that too and added it to the evidence file. If Dale was planning something for the county flood relief event, we'd be ready. The 143rd Supply Unit had dealt with hostile territory before. This time, the hostile was just wearing a church suit instead of enemy colors. Dale's campaign started Thursday evening, 2 hours after the preliminary protective order was granted. He couldn't contact me directly that would violate the order, but nothing stopped him from poisoning every well in Hickory Falls. The first text came from Mrs. Patterson, my mother's book club friend. Disappointed in you. Riley, your poor mother is destroyed. Family problems should stay private. Then, Cousin Janet, Dale showed us the legal fees. You're bankrupting them over a misunderstanding. By Friday, 17 people had messaged variations of the same theme. I was dramatic, vindictive, destroying a good man's reputation over nothing. Dale had crafted his narrative perfectly. In his version, he'd been a concerned father trying to talk sense into an unstable veteran with PTSD who'd stolen money from her brother's graduation fund. The gentle arm touch became me attacking him. The dozen military witnesses became a coordinated conspiracy against a civilian. Classic Darvo, Rivera explained when I showed her the messages. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender, textbook abuser, playbook. Saturday morning, Paula tried a new angle. She showed up at the Walmart where I was grabbing supplies, careful to stay 501 feet away just outside the protective order's range. Riley. She called across the parking lot. Please, just 5 minutes. I kept walking. She followed at a distance, shouting for everyone to hear. He's going to lose everything. His job, his reputation. Kyle won't get into college because of the scandal. Is that what you want? An elderly woman loading groceries shook her head at me. A man muttered cold as he passed. Paula had turned a Walmart parking lot into her theater, and I was cast as the villain. I documented it all on my phone, then called the police non-emergency line from my car. She's technically outside the protective order distance, but she's following me. We'll send someone to warn her about harassment, the dispatcher said. Keep documenting. That afternoon, Kyle posted on Facebook screenshots courtesy of Specialist Washington, who had mutual friends. A long rant about how his veteran sister had gone crazy and was using military connections to persecute a civilian. He claimed I'd been discharged for mental health issues, a complete lie, and was now playing soldier to feel important. My JAG representative, Captain Mitchell, read it with interest. Defamation and libel. He's claiming false facts about your military service. That's actionable. I don't want to sue Kyle. You don't have to, but document it. Shows a pattern of harassment from the family. The real escalation came Sunday. Someone definitely not Dale, because that would violate the order, had printed flyers. They appeared on every windshield at Grace Methodist. Dale's church. Pray for the Whittaker family in bold letters, followed by a sob story about a troubled veteran daughter terrorizing her innocent family with false allegations and military intimidation. The pastor called me directly. Reverend James had known me since I was 14. Riley, I don't believe a word of this flyer, he said carefully. Several congregation members saw what happened at your house last week. Mrs. Morrison's son was one of the soldiers there. Thank you. But Dale's well connected here. He's on the finance committee, the men's fellowship board. People are choosing sides. I'm not asking anyone to choose. I know, but small towns don't work that way. I need you to know that several families have quietly reached out to support you. Mrs. Kim from the flower shop wants you to know she saw Dale corner you at the post office last month. Before all this, she's willing to provide a statement about his aggressive behavior. By Monday, I had 6 new witness statements from community members who'd seen Dale's behavior over the years but never spoke up. The pharmacist who'd watched Dale berate me for buying name-brand tampons. The gas station owner who'd seen him take my car keys in the parking lot. The librarian who'd witnessed him tearing up my college application papers when I was 18. Everyone saw, I said to Mendez, reading through the statements. All these years, everyone saw, but now they're speaking. That's what matters. Tuesday brought a new development. Dale had hired a lawyer not court-appointed, but private. Expensive. The lawyer sent my attorney a cease and desist letter about damaging his client's reputation and threatening a countersuit for emotional distress and conspiracy to commit harassment. Captain Mitchell actually laughed. He assaulted you in front of 12 witnesses and he's claiming you're harassing him. This is desperation. But the letter revealed something important: the community event. Dale's lawyer mentioned his client's important charitable work at the upcoming County Flood Relief Festival and how my vindictive actions were preventing him from serving his community. "He's planning to show up," I said. "That would violate the protective order. You'll be there with your unit." "He doesn't care. He wants the confrontation in public. Make me look like the aggressor." Mitchell leaned back. "Then we make sure everything is documented. Every interaction, every word, every movement. If he shows up, he's the one breaking the law, not you." Wednesday night, Tommy called from a friend's phone. "Riley, Dad doesn't know I'm calling. He's been practicing." "Practicing what?" "His speech. For Saturday. He's going to confront you at the relief festival. Make it look like you're attacking him. Kyle's going to film it for social media. Tommy, if he violates..." "He says public property doesn't count. His lawyer told him if he stays in public areas and you approach him, he can claim you violated the order." "That's not how it works." "I know, but he believes it. Or wants to. Riley, please be careful. He's different. Desperate. Mom's scared of him now, too." I immediately forwarded this information to Captain Mitchell, Major Carson, and the county sheriff's office. Plans were adjusted, security measures implemented. If Dale wanted a public confrontation, he'd get one, just not the kind he expected. The County Flood Relief Festival filled Asheville's town square with military precision. Our 143rd Supply Unit had the main display 3 emergency response vehicles, water purification systems, and an information booth where I was stationed. Professional, visible. Exactly where Dale knew I'd be. Mendez had positioned our people strategically. Kim with his camera documenting the event for social media. Morrison wearing his body cam for training purposes. Williams and Rodriguez flanking the booth like they were just helping with crowd control. Every angle covered. 2:30 p.m. I saw the suburban park across the square. Dale emerged in his charity volunteer polo shirt, the one with the county commissioner's campaign logo, his connection, his perceived protection. Kyle had his phone out already. Paula stayed in the vehicle. Dale made a show of working the crowd first, shaking hands, laughing too loud, playing the beloved community member. Several people glanced between him and our booth uncomfortably. The story had spread. 3:10 p.m. He started his approach. Not direct, that would be too obvious. He worked the adjacent booths, getting closer with each handshake and backslap. The sheriff's deputy we'd briefed shifted position, watching. 3:20 p.m. Dale reached the Red Cross booth, 30 feet from ours, close enough to violate the protective order. The deputy started moving. That's when Dale played his card. He didn't come to me. He stood at the Red Cross table and started his speech, loud enough for half the square to hear. "It's tragic when military service becomes an excuse for destroying families," he projected, not looking at me but ensuring everyone knew who he meant. "When uniformed thugs use their connections to persecute civilians, when a father can't even volunteer in his community because of false allegations." People turned, phones came out, Kyle circled for a better angle. I stayed at my position, hands flat on the table, breathing steady. Mendez had drilled this: don't engage, don't respond, let him hang himself. Dale continued, getting louder. "Right here, we have an example of stolen valor. Someone playing soldier, using military resources for personal vendettas. My family has been terrorized." "Sir," Lieutenant Morrison stepped into Dale's line of sight. "You're disrupting a federal military display." "I'm exercising free speech on public property." Dale's preparation showed. "Unless you're saying the military suppresses civilian constitutional rights." Morrison didn't take the bait. "Sir, you're within 500 feet of someone with a protective order against you. This is public property. I have every right." "The order doesn't distinguish between public and private property. Mr. Whitaker." The sheriff's deputy had arrived. "You need to leave. Now." Dale's mask slipped. His face went red, veins bulging. "This is conspiracy. Military overreach. She's turned you all against..." He moved toward our booth. Fast, aggressive. His hand reached out like he was going to grab the table banner, or possibly me. The angle made it impossible to tell, but I wasn't his target. He went for the display board showing our unit citations. Shoving it hard, it crashed backward, nearly hitting a child. 3 things happened simultaneously. Williams stepped between Dale and the booth. The deputy reached for his cuffs, and the large presentation screen the county had set up for evening announcements flickered to life. Mendez's timing was perfect. The screen showed body cam footage from last Sunday, crystal clear HD. Dale grabbing my arm, his voice echoing across the square. "Stop acting tough, you pathetic—" The crowd gasped. Dale spun around, saw his own face on the screen, his hand wrapped around my arm in uniform. The audio was pristine, every threat, every curse, every admission. "Turn that off," Dale roared. "Saw, that's illegal recording. That's evidence," Captain Mitchell said, appearing with the county prosecutor. "Legally obtained evidence of assault on a uniformed service member. Evidence that's part of public record once filed with the court." The prosecutor, a woman named Sarah Chen who'd driven down from the district office specifically for this, looked at Dale with professional satisfaction. "Mr. Whitaker, you just violated a protective order in front of approximately 300 witnesses. You also destroyed property and endangered a minor." Kyle had stopped recording, his phone dropping to his side. "Additionally," Chen continued, "we've received multiple statements about a pattern of domestic abuse spanning 16 years, financial coercion, emotional abuse, physical intimidation. The federal prosecutors are particularly interested in your threats against military personnel." Dale tried to run, actually turned and tried to push through the crowd. He made it about 10 feet before Master Sergeant Thompson, who'd been buying kettle corn, stuck out a casual foot. Dale went down hard on the pavement. The deputy cuffed him right there, in front of everyone. As they hauled him up, Dale locked eyes with me across the square. For the first time in 16 years, I saw fear in them. "This isn't over," he screamed. "You destroyed this family. You, Mr. Whitaker, you have the right to remain silent," the deputy said, louder. "Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law." The screen had switched to a slideshow of support messages from flood victims our unit had helped, but everyone was watching Dale being perp-walked to the patrol car, Kyle following helplessly, Paula finally emerging from the Suburban with tears streaming. The crowd parted as she approached our booth. She stopped at the protective order boundary, exactly 500 feet, and looked at me with something I'd never seen before: clarity. "I'm sorry," she mouthed silently. Tommy appeared beside her. He'd been in the vehicle the whole time. He raised his hand slightly, a small wave. I nodded back. As the patrol car pulled away with Dale in the back, the festival coordinator took the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the disruption. Let's thank our service members for their professionalism and continue supporting our flood relief efforts. The 143rd Supply Unit will now demonstrate water purification techniques." The crowd applauded. Several people approached our booth to shake hands, to apologize for believing Dale's stories, to thank us for our service the real kind, not the version Dale had tried to paint. Morrison appeared at my elbow. "Outstanding composure, specialist." I looked at the empty space where Dale's Suburban had been parked. 16 years of his shadow, finally gone. "Mission complete, sir." The legal machinery moved with swift precision. Within an hour of Dale's arrest, Prosecutor Chen had filed enhanced charges violating a protective order, assault and battery, disturbing the peace, destruction of property, and endangering a minor. The federal prosecutors added their own threatening military personnel and interfering with a federal operation. The county had set up a mobile legal aid station at the festival pure coincidence, they claimed, though Mendez's smile suggested otherwise. Right there, under the afternoon sun, with kettle corn scent in the air and Dale's patrol car barely out of sight, the magistrate reviewed the evidence. Given the defendant's flagrant violation of an existing protective order in front of numerous witnesses, the magistrate announced, his voice carrying through the portable PA system, Bail is set at $50,000. The permanent protective order hearing is expedited to Monday morning. Kyle stood frozen by the empty parking space, still holding his phone like he'd forgotten how to lower his arm. Some of Dale's church friends approached him, but their sympathy looked strained. They'd seen the video. Everyone had seen the video. 4:15 p.m. My JAG representative pulled me aside to a quiet corner behind our supply truck. "The district attorney wants to pursue maximum charges," Captain Mitchell said. "With the video evidence, witness statements, and today's violation, Dale's looking at minimum 18 months, possibly 3 years. The federal charges could add another 2. That seems appropriate, yes. He assaulted a service member, terrorized you for years, and violated a protective order in front of 300 people. These are consequences. Hart. His consequences." The festival continued around us, kids getting their faces painted, veterans comparing service stories, the high school band setting up for their 5 p.m. performance. Normal life flowing back into the spaces Dale's drama had torn. Tommy found me at the water purification demonstration. Paula waited at the legal distance, but she'd sent him over with her blessing. "Mom's filing for divorce," he said quietly. "She already called a lawyer. Dale doesn't know yet." "Tommy, I'm sorry you're going through—" "Don't." He looked older than 13. "You saved us. Mom's been recording things too, since last year. She was just too scared to do anything. But seeing you stand up to him, she's done." He handed me an envelope. Inside, Paula's handwriting. "I'll testify at the permanent order hearing. Everything. 16 years of everything. Mom. 6:30 p.m. The festival was winding down. We'd packed most of our equipment when Morrison's body cam alert pinged. Dale had made bail some business partner putting up the money, but it came with conditions ankle monitor, no contact with any witnesses, and he couldn't leave his house except for work and legal appointments. "He'll violate," Williams predicted. "Give him 72 hours. He lasted 36. Monday morning, 9, permanent protective order hearing. I sat in the courthouse wearing my Class A uniform, every medal and ribbon precisely placed. Dale's lawyer tried to argue emotional distress, temporary insanity, miscommunication. Then Paula took the stand. She detailed 16 years of financial abuse, emotional manipulation, physical intimidation. She'd brought receipts, literal receipts. Every dollar he'd stolen from my teenage paychecks. Every lock he'd installed to control food. Every degrading comment documented in her journals. "I failed my daughter," she said, looking directly at me. "I let my fear keep her in danger, but I'm not afraid anymore." The judge granted the permanent protective order. 5 years, no contact, no third parties, no coming within 1,000 feet. If Dale wanted to shop, eat out, or exist in public spaces, he'd have to check my location first. As we left the courthouse, Chen pulled me aside. "The criminal trial will take months, but with everything we have, he'll take a plea deal. He has to." She was right. Tuesday afternoon, Dale's lawyer called Mitchell. Guilty plea to assault, violating protective order, and harassment. 2 years prison, 3 years probation, mandatory anger management, and he had to pay restitution for my legal fees and counseling costs. "Take it," I said without hesitation. "I want this over." Wednesday morning, 0600 formation. Lieutenant Morrison called me to the front. Specialist Hart demonstrated exceptional bearing under extreme personal duress. She maintained military professionalism while facing domestic terrorism. Her actions protected not only herself, but prevented escalation that could have harmed civilians and discredited our unit. He handed me a coin, the commander's coin. Recognition for excellence. Additionally, Specialist Hart's situation has led to improved family advocacy protocols for our entire battalion. Her courage in documenting and confronting abuse will help protect other soldiers facing similar situations. The formation applauded. Mendez winked at me. Williams gave a thumbs up. My unit, my real family, had stood witness when it mattered. That afternoon, I changed the locks one more time. Not because I needed to, but because I could. My house, my locks, my keys, my life. I sat on my porch, new keys gleaming in my hand, and opened my phone to text Tommy. Tell Mom she's welcome here anytime. You too. Fresh start for all of us. His response came quickly. Already packing. Mom says she'll make that pot roast you used to love. I smiled the first real smile in 16 years. Dale was heading to processing, ankle monitor blinking as they prepared his transfer to county detention. Kyle had gone silent on social media. The Whitaker family empire built on fear and control had crumbled in exactly 1 week. But the Hart family, the real one, the chosen one, the one forged in mutual respect and tested in literal battle, was just beginning. Specialist Riley Hart, reporting for duty. Mission fucking complete. I don't d'envie con biet Dieu anymore. That girl died the day I sent that $1 transfer. The woman who stands in her place wears combat boots and speaks truth to power, backed by the full force of the United States Army and the unbreaking bond of soldiers who understand that family isn't about blood, it's about who shows up when you call for backup. Dale thought the uniform was costume. Turned out it was armor, and I'd finally learned how to use it. Thank you for listening to my story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment and let's connect. Please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. Have you or someone you know faced a similar situation? How did you find the strength to stand up? Your stories matter too.